Thank you, Jake. Our next speaker, E. Tamplin, is a doctoral student who earned a BS in Sociology and a Master of Education in Educational Leadership and Policy Analysis with an emphasis in higher education administration from the University of Missouri, Columbia. Welcome, E.
Well, I want to start with saying thanks so much for having me here tonight. I am from your sister school over at TWU, doing my PhD in women's studies. And so special thanks to Kathleen for thinking so highly of me and inviting me to share my story with y'all tonight. And so I'm going to start off with this. The struggle is real. It is. But it's also beautiful. The struggle of clumsily stepping out of one closet and into another, only to find myself buried in the perceptions of others and my own perceptions, a few bad outfit choices along the way, and a tangled web of questions as to how to walk, talk, and be. It's real. The things that we have to do in order to make ourselves be loved, be accepted, navigate this world around us. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Age 12, from private school uniforms to public school wardrobe changes and bathroom stalls. To say that I have a lot of identities that I don't fully understand yet is an understatement. But not knowing, however frustrating it may be at times, is an important part of becoming who I truly am and not who I'm supposed to be. It is on this journey of learning about myself, becoming that I cherish so much. This journey from Texas to Missouri and back, now for my PhD, from a child who identified as a girl reluctantly, to becoming the E that I've always pictured in my head. This is my greatest achievement so far, and I'm pretty sure it will be the greatest achievement over my lifetime. And with that said, I would like to point out what I think is important in that last statement. And actually, there's a lot to that last statement. But for tonight, I'm just going to point out that realizing the part of coming out, the knowing and unknowing that occurs in our becoming, is indeed expressed in what we say and even more so in our silences. And coming out is about naming, and that does important work in our lives. So tonight, that's what I'm going to talk about, naming our coming out processes and telling our stories. I'm going to be upfront and say that this won't be a linear discussion because my brain doesn't work that way, and neither do our lives, surprisingly. I will thread various coming out stories about my various identities. There's a lot, so I won't cover all of them, through a discussion of how coming out overall has impacted my life. And maybe, hopefully, you'll see some similarities that you share with me, and hopefully you see some distinctions and will want to have discussions about that after this, because I like talking about those things. Age 16, did you kiss that girl? Suspicion hits. Just how important is naming yourself, naming an identity that you hold, naming your journey of coming out? How important is being okay with occupying the borders of acceptable and unacceptable, organic and manufactured, comfortable and uncomfortable, love and hate, black and white and indigenous, butch and femme, man and woman, and juggling the various and at times clashing truths that come with all of these identities, locations, and spaces. Furthermore, who is worthy of hearing your story? Who gets to join your journey? These are the things that I think about often because these questions, along with their answers, are always in the making and always challenging and reshaping me. Age 23, 80 cents in my bank account, but a master's in my arsenal. Part of being human means that we are changing every day by the second as we live our lives and interact with the world around us. Choosing outfits, friendships, and even music, navigating dating and family situations, picking a restroom or a fitting room, filling out applications. These are all ongoing processes in which we're never the same person leaving that situation. And as we name aspects of ourselves in and for a moment, we disrupt systems while simultaneously making ourselves seem whole and recognizable to others, even though our body is still moving towards being different and new. We are always changing even if we aren't aware of it, and naming ourselves or coming out because it's how we as humans make sense of our lives. Sometimes it may seem like an uphill battle. At other times, we don't notice the process at all. And then there's very few times where it may feel like a walk in the park and we're on top of the world. And when we name things, we do powerful work and we give ourselves fully and vulnerably. Storytelling for me is speaking truth to power. Age 10, mama's kitchen, family couch, dad's sports. Stemming from the histories and experiences of African American, Native American, and Chicano cultures, storytelling has been a vital tool for survival and liberation for oppressed groups. Therefore, storytelling is art, theory, and personal experience all wrapped in one. I learned about life through the stories of my mama and the women in my family while getting my hair done when I had it, while sitting on the couch as my parents tried to educate me about the realities of a cold world, and from my father on the basketball court. These instances of truth-telling and wisdom sharing, prevalent in the epistemologies of women of color and the stories of my creators, prepared me for today and are integral parts of my coming out then and now. Age 17, survived the first year of college in the closet, but summertime truth-telling from my favorite aunt left me haunted. I don't know if I'm sad for her, or for me, or for both of us. Does she know? Stories connect us to one another, to the world around us, and to our hopes, fears, and dreams. They break down our walls. They speak truth to power. They force us to not be numb. They allow us to come out in our own ways. So let me keep it real with you and allow me to be vulnerable and let us share this space as I lay some of my truths on the table. Age 4, strange feelings, alien body, black girlhood. See, coming out or engaging in the process of self and other naming is what I think about daily during this time of National Coming Out Day that just passed on Sunday. The police brutality enforced on black and brown bodies, the fragility of masculinity and whiteness visible in the recent mass school shootings, threats of defunding Planned Parenthood, the increasing rates of death in LGBTQ communities, and for those individuals who may or may not fit under this umbrella. The racism prevalent on college campuses, the increasing numbers of individuals going into mass incarceration, and after taking my second shot of testosterone on Monday. And this is all just considering the US. Age 24, decision to deal with my mental health issues leads me to finally being truthful with myself and to being comfortable with transitioning but still identifying as non-binary. However, I also have to come to terms with asking for permission to be who I truly am. I do not like it. How do these things fit with this discussion tonight? All the things that I just rambled off, all these current events. That's a question I received from my friend who actually edited this for me because I suck at writing. The answer is not surprising, at least not to me. As I think about the aforementioned current events, I'm always thinking about naming myself and coming out as an act of resistance and also an act of complicity. Age 9, tomboy who likes boys and girls and basketball and black nail polish. Coming out has saved me in many ways, but more so, coming out gives me a name, making me less of a boogeyman. In other words, I become readable again as I quiet the minds and the fears of those confused by my appearance, my actions, my speech, when I say I am a black trans person who is a PhD student. Adding PhD student is what makes me less threatening. So I am able to enact resistance to the status quo of heteronormativity while implicitly proving that I am respectable enough. Balancing the two along with being brought up by strong people allows me to be standing here in front of you. An assemblage of ideas, genetics, histories, institutions, and cultures, I am often reduced down to the aesthetics of a black gay man or gay woman, depending on the context, and navigating the stereotypes that are implicitly and explicitly bound to those identities. However, in reality, I'm a trickster, I'm an outlaw, I'm an outsider within. I occupy multiple and overlapping spaces, which means I'm always coming out. Age 15, she was my first. She was white, and I loved her. Forbidden love, not black enough. Too black, I fear. Such a body gets looked down on, dismissed, threatened, or killed, figuratively and literally, not only by mainstream white straight America, but also by black straight communities where the politics of authenticity and respectability excludes queer bodies, and by mostly white queer communities where black bodies still face racism and invisibility. Age 19, forced out of the closet, with nowhere to run, now to tell my mom. One example that I always find useful in trying to think through my constant coming out and its impact on me and others is when I discuss going home during the summertime to visit my mother and two sisters, who are now both in college, but one was in high school just like 3 months ago. She's getting older. I don't like that either. So I come from a sports family. I played basketball in college. My middle sister played basketball in college, and my youngest sister played volleyball, or plays volleyball in college. The other two are totally on the opposite end of the spectrum aesthetically. They are both very high femme women, and I'm not. So generally, when I talk about our differences, I talk about them under the guise of sports, because different sports leads to the ways we read different bodies and how we read bodies differently. So generally, basketball players are stereotyped as low-income black lesbians, while volleyball players are upper-middle-class feminine white women, although tokens abound in both. Age 23 to 25, are you supposed to be in here? Anger rises, then leads to sarcasm. That's why I purchased these specs in my master's degree. Reading is fundamental. I always find it comical that when I walk into spaces, especially with my youngest sister, I am greeted with disgruntled looks of confusion while my mom and my sisters deal with the questions and the whispers that follow. It's not until I'm outed or named as a former college athlete and social justice activist with multiple degrees and now currently working on my PhD that certain minds who are afraid of me apologize or move sheepishly along. Why? Because for this crowd, I aesthetically fit all the negative stereotypes about blackness. And to compound this, my mere presence manages to reveal their inexperience with visible trans identities. This leaves me or a friend or a family member doing the work of pulling out my pass card, outwardly challenging people's ideas while showing that I'm still acceptable. For those who don't know, a pass card is a metaphorical card you pull out to prove authenticity and to show that you are not a threat. Age 24. My blackness, my piercings, my tats are all mine, so keep your opinions. But like Mama said, your degrees can't save you, but a pass card is always helpful. Age 17, I gave up organized religion. Surely the God of my parents isn't the God of my pastor, but I don't know who my God is, and I wonder if they're watching. Coming out for me has always been about congruence and control. Has anyone ever heard the joke, tell God your plans and watch him laugh? I'm sure my God is still laughing. Why? Because the real work is just beginning. I have always been who I am without having to verbally come out. I've always made lists of things to do. I've always dressed the same. I've always been one for order. But what I did not know was that coming out would mean finding a way to mix the girlhood lessons I received from my parents with my own and others' ideas about the intersections of race, gender, education, religion, power, and mental health. I consider my experiences as a gender ambiguous person of color with depression and anxiety as the truest images that work to shatter the false pictures of realness that are forever being painted for me. Age 25, I am the trickster, the outlaw, the troublemaker, the killjoy, the Pantlera, the outsider within. Coming out and naming ourselves causes ruptures to happen. As we question and challenge lessons about, images of, and ideas deciding who we are, we undergo transformations that cause uncertainty and pain in order to open up spaces for change, growth, and healing. These ruptures caused by coming out have allowed me to become more comfortable with myself while making me more palatable for others. It's allowed me to do good work of resisting a white supremacist, heteronormative, heterosexist state, while also allowing me to engage complicitly in various forms of homonormativity and whiteness. Age 16 through 25, most of my partners have been white. Oh, the institutionalization of racism and the internalization of racism. Or is it gratitude to my parents for showing me that love recognizes but doesn't dwell on differences? Both and? So here I am, I am everything and nothing, something wonderful that I don't fully understand yet. 25 years as of yesterday, I am Afro, trans, other, mystic. I'm a lover of sunrises because sunsets make me depressed, and I haven't quite mastered the art of letting go, but I'm sure it'll come someday. Age 20, first time I experienced a mental breakdown, a spiral that lasted 6 weeks, started a rupture towards a new becoming. Naming is complicated and has its consequences. Coming out is a process which frees while shackling me to the fantasies and fears of others and of myself. Naming and coming out are tricky, and neither are inherently good or bad. Coming out through naming and telling stories takes courage, brings pain, leads to freedom, and intertwines us with the world and each other. And this journey of coming out is one to be appreciated and also to learn from. And I learned in this journey to be myself, to be the person I needed when I was younger, to believe in the power that comes with going through experiences, good and bad, from naming myself, from questioning everything around me, including myself, and from occupying borders. Yes, our coming out will be complicit in some ways and resistant in others, but by letting the power we gain from the process of being our most authentic selves, we will be able to embrace the beautiful complexity that forever creates us, so that whenever the struggle gets too real, we can come out with compassion, integrity, courage, and love. This, I believe, is what allows us to fully help and live with others so that they and we can see that things do get better in their ongoing becoming. Thank you.